now just 6 days away from having an NCAA tournament bracket. I am fired up. Jeff, I hope you're fired up. Today we have Adam. I hope I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Mancuda, is that right?
You got it perfect, man. Thank you.
Perfect. There you go. Adam, what's going on, man? Why don't you introduce yourself and let people know who you are and kind of what you're doing here?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Big fan of the show. My background is pretty much Q Sky from 03, winning the championship on my 22nd birthday as a senior, but obviously a hoops junkie for years, cutting school to, watch the tournament, faking illness as everyone pretty much did, running my high school tournament pools. But yeah, big fan of the show. Glad to work with you guys throughout the year and talk to you guys about this. This was a great show to have all year to kind of, learn about a lot of the teams across the country, get some good insight. So thanks for having me, and looking forward to chatting for a little bit.
And what people probably don't know is Adam helped us with the 68 Shining Moments project that's ongoing right now. We're kind of putting, pretty much 2 out there a day during the week through the end of the tournament. And Adam was critical and kind of helping us guide us throughout that. So we appreciate it, Adam, and wish we had more games for you to talk about today. But let's start with yesterday, Rob. Let's start with yesterday and the key. I think the biggest thing was Michigan State, wasn't it? I mean, Michigan State beating Michigan and really, to me, punching their ticket into the NCAA tournament despite a very lackluster season.
Yeah, I think that they're more or less locked. I would recommend beating Maryland in the first round of the Big Ten tournament next week, but, you win. In the last 13 days, they've beaten Ohio State, beaten Illinois, and they've beaten Michigan. And I don't know if there's 3 teams that have wins that are that good on their resume. And I know they're 14-12, but to me, they're in the tournament. And I'll tell you this much. Let's say that they end up getting like a 10 or an 11 or a 12 seed, somewhere around there. Imagine being let's say that you're Virginia, right? And you're a 5 seed. And your first round draw as a 5 seed after winning the ACC is a Michigan State team where Aaron Henry is playing like this and Rocket Watts is playing like this. Like, how much do they hate life if that's what happens?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I mean, not the matchup. And oh, by the way, you've got a coach named Tom Izzo on the other sideline. No, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants.
The man has an entire month named after him.
I guess, yeah. Well, by some, I don't know if I'd name a month after Tom Izzo, but it's not.
By the way, we're not giving John Rothstein credit for coming up with January, February, Izzo, April. He doesn't get credit for that one.
No.
He's come up with he's had some good nicknames.
Or this is March. I think this is March kind of came long before Stick Boy.
Adam, how do you feel about Michigan State?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I think certainly punched their ticket, but the critical thing is, with the way Maryland is playing, obviously the last week, as you kind of tweeted out, Rob, last night, like they're going to need that game too. So it depends to me, like how they're going to look in that game itself. But again, those wins, are better than a lot of the other bubble teams' wins. I think along the lines that you guys have too, that I'd love to see them in one of those first 4 games if it comes to it. You'll put them up against a team like a Drake or one of those mid-majors that deserves a bid, and just roll the balls out there and let's see how they do. I thought it was a tricky spot also yesterday for Michigan, coming off the win on Thursday, going on the road towards the end of the season. The back-to-backs have always been tricky this year. So, I wasn't surprised by the outcome, but I certainly know with Izzo on the sideline that's the type of matchup he's going to win. And again, he motivated that team, and they should be in now. I think they obviously have the resume that's a lot better than a lot of those other bubble teams that are out there. So wouldn't shock me if they're in. Would love to see them in that first 4. And again, if you're right, if they're a Virginia matchup in the first round or someone like that, Virginia's not going to be happy. But I would certainly take Michigan State in that matchup just based on, obviously the backgrounds and how they're coming in red hot. And I'll see Virginia struggled throughout the year, as we've seen outside, of the lower wins in that league this year for Virginia. So to me, Michigan State's peaking at the right time, and no surprise there with Izzo on the bench.
How worried are you about Michigan, Jeff?
Not very. I mean, again, like Adam was saying, it's a tricky spot because what are they playing for? Everybody's telling them they already have a number 1 seed locked up, which they did. I know it's your rival. I know you want to beat the hell out of them again. You just did it. But again, you're not playing for quite as much. To me, I want to see what they do in the Big Ten tournament. They've proven it over the course of the year that I still don't put them at if everybody's playing at their A+ game, to me, it's Gonzaga, Baylor at one level, and Michigan's still a step below them. But they certainly have a chance to get to the Final Four and win this whole thing, especially, considering all the all the factors that are going to be involved when these teams and these kids get to Indianapolis. I mean, people aren't going to take that into account, that these kids aren't going to be able to leave their hotel rooms for most of the time. It's not going to be a traditional Final Four, or NCAA tournament. So I think, the mental part of it is going to play more into it than ever, and how these guys stay locked in. And I still like Michigan a lot.
Yeah, I'm there too. The thing you mentioned about the players being stuck in Indianapolis, like I don't think people realize that Michigan, when they go there, they're basically going to be there for a month, and they're going to be living in the hotel room for a month.
They hope.
Yeah, like assuming that they make a run, but they're basically going to be living in a hotel room for a month. Like you're not going out, you're not able to go have dinner.
You're going to look at the fans outside your hotel room. You're going to be looking at me walking by, going to get my hopefully Dunkin' Donuts, but I don't think there's Dunkin' downtown in India. I think I'm going to have to deal with Starbucks. But all those fans, they're going to be outside their window, and they can't party with them. They can't even. It's so hard this year. Like for teams like a Michigan, right? And we've seen their fan base and how hungry they've been. Like Illinois, like those kids haven't gotten the adulation that they probably should walking across campus, right? Everybody telling Io what a great win it was, or how are you? How you feeling? You're not getting any of that shit this year. And they're not going to get it in Indianapolis. They're going to watch it from afar. If that, they're going to watch it from their TV rooms and from their TV screens in their hotel rooms.
So here's my question about Michigan, which I think I'm most worried about. It's the status of Eli Brooks and Franz Wagner. Eli Brooks sprained his ankle and played just 5 minutes yesterday. And then on the last possession, I don't know if you guys saw this, but like Franz did something and came up a little bit gimpy. I think he rolled his ankle, but on that last possession when they were down 6 at Michigan State, you could see him like hopping around in the final second. So their status obviously is going to be important. I think Franz Wagner is the most important player on that roster. So we'll see. I'm definitely worried about Michigan considering those injuries. Beyond that, it's their point guard and the big guy. Like we don't have to keep going over the same things over and over and over and making the same points over and over again. What else happened yesterday? Maceo T went full Steph Curry, hit 10 threes.
Yeah.
Baylor's back, right?
10 to 12 from 3.
Yep.
Right.
Adam, Baylor's back, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, we were kind of waiting for this to happen. They had that nice win on the road earlier in the week, which kind of shut a lot of us up who went against them. Obviously, the spread obviously was a little ridiculous that they covered that game in overtime. But yeah, here nor there.
That was a bad beat. That was a bad beat. For anyone else that was on West Virginia, that was a bad beat.
Terrible. But yeah, I mean, look, as we've said all year, it's Gonzaga and Baylor, and then the rest of the field, and obviously Michigan with the injuries, and obviously Illinois and them coming back. Look, there are other teams there, but look, if Baylor doesn't get to a Final Four, this will be a major disappointment. If they don't get to the title game, it'll be a disappointment. The way that they've played over the last 2 years, but having Teague, kind of light it up from 3. Yesterday, and just the way that they dominated that game from start to finish, that shows how they are. It wouldn't shock me if some team clips them in the Big 12 tournament, just because their focus is obviously for next week. But I wouldn't be shocked if they're run the table from here on out, and they kind of galvanize themselves, and obviously just hit the pedal here and say, look, we have all that stuff now behind us, all the COVID stuff's behind us. Let's go win this thing. So it wouldn't shock me if they did it now.
I think my hottest take is that at least one of Baylor, Michigan, and Gonzaga are going to end up losing in their conference tournament at some point this week.
Yeah.
Now the easy one is Michigan if these guys are all banged up.
Well, here's the thing with Michigan though, Rob. Like to me, if these guys are banged up, like your focus has to be on next Friday, not this week. So to me, if they're even remotely banged up, if they've locked up that number 1 seed or even the best 2 seed, what's the benefit of getting them out there outside of just running them around for a few minutes? So to me, there are too many other teams in that league. Ohio State, if they want to get motivated to get hot right now, which would be nice. Iowa, we could talk about. I'm sure we will in a second. And obviously, the other teams there, it wouldn't shock me if they rest their guys and get them ready for next weekend, because that's what obviously is important right now. So it wouldn't shock me if Michigan lost this coming week.
Hey, Rob, some decent news that I'm hearing on Joe Wieskamp, that it's not that bad, that there's a chance he could play in their first game in the Big Ten tournament, but they feel like it's not a major ankle injury. They're going to make sure it doesn't blow up or anything today. Certainly not broken or anything like that, but it sounds like he's going to be okay.
That's good. That's good. The good thing with him is he's not someone that necessarily relies on his quickness too much, so he can be just as effective. Like, having the threat of Joe Wieskamp is just as valuable as, like,
you need. You need him to be able to do this, and yes, you still need him to be able to push off on a little bit on that, to be able to try to guard people. Yeah,
sure, but like you basically have. I mean, if you could just get him through until the first weekend of the tournament, that doesn't really start until Saturday, right? Because it's
Friday,
the playing
Saturday.
games on Thursday. It's Thursday, Friday is the playing games. Is that right? And then Saturday, Sunday is the first round. Yeah. So you have 12 days to get him to the point where you really need him to be healthy. If he plays in the Big Ten tournament, that's a bonus. If he doesn't play in the Big Ten tournament, well, that might be better, because then he's healthy for March. And again, like, the value of Wieskamp.
Yeah. I wouldn't play him in the Big Ten tournament. There's no.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
Maybe put him.
Like, who cares?
Give him a couple minutes just to get a sweat, just to kind of feel good, so that the NCAA tournament won't be his first minutes. But, like, play him literally. Like, Joe, we're gonna play you like 5 minutes here. We're not gonna risk this thing. We're gonna play you 5 minutes just to get you back, so your first minutes aren't. But, like, he's a veteran, so it doesn't even matter.
I mean, Jeff, how much do you put into the stock of getting these guys minutes simply because of that 12-day layoff, too? Like, a lot of these conference tournaments that are wrapping up now, like for teams like a Winthrop that won't be playing for 12 days, and some of the ones that are wrapping up now, like, to me, that's going to be a hurdle of, all right, we haven't played in 12 days. Now we're going to go, and we're at the biggest stage. We're going to roll out there and play. So I agree with you. Maybe giving him 5 or 10 minutes in a couple of these games this week might be the way to go. Again, their seeding is pretty much where it is. I don't think it's going to be moved that much unless they maybe win the Big Ten. But I think that's pretty important here, to just not have the rust there for 2 weeks as you play the first round.
Yeah, I think these teams should go to Indy, the mid majors, and scrimmage each other. Go to Indy a little bit early and just have these secret scrimmages throughout Indy somewhere. Go to Henkel or whatever.
Yeah.
We've had some questions in the chat about Baylor's roster, how many pros, and whether or not all 3 guards are first rounders. For my money, I think Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell should both be picked in the first round. I would pick both of them in the first round. I would have both of them on a first or second team All-American team. Macy O'Teague, I probably would not. Like, he's really old. He's got a weird release on his jumper. He's a great college player. He's probably going to make a bunch of money playing in Europe for the next 6 to 8 years, but I don't think that he's an NBA guy personally.
Yeah. Well, I think the best, and I've said this, I think the best guy, NBA upside, might be Matthew Meyer from Baylor. I think he's an NBA guy. He's going to have a huge year next year. I wouldn't be surprised.
Have I told you my hot take? Have I told you my hot take about Matthew Meyer? I don't think I have. I think he's the most likely guy to pull a Dante DiVincenzo in this year's tournament, where he goes for like 25 or 28 in a couple of different games, has a huge run. They make the Final Four. He's awesome on the biggest stage. And someone's like, well, you know what? He is 6'9". He is pretty athletic. He does have a mullet, and he's got the lightning bolt on the side of his head. Like, this dude guaranteed to be awesome.
Yeah.
He's guaranteed to be awesome. So let's draft him.
That's a good call. Honestly, if he puts his name in for the draft this year, I think he probably goes somewhere in the first round. In fact, I think he's probably the highest drafted guy on this team, which sounds crazy, but his upside is ridiculous. And I
don't know if I would go that far, because I think you're underselling how good Davion Mitchell really is. I don't think people realize how good this dude is. He's the best defender in college basketball. He's shooting 40-something% from 3. He's got, like, he can make all of the passes you need to make. I think the fact that he's been on a team where he hasn't been thrust into that role is the reason why you haven't really seen it, but he shows it in flashes. And the fact that he accepts what he's supposed to do on this roster and does his job and plays his role, like, that's what he's going to have to do at the next level. Yeah. Jared Butler's not going to be a guy that gets 18 shots a game in the NBA. He might be an instant offense guy off the bench, but
right.
Yeah.
But I think
I love
Davion. Second unit guard.
I think he can be. I think his ceiling is Patrick Beverly. I think he can get there. He's that good defensively. And I think his floor is Javon Carter. And Javon Carter was good in the bubble, was good last year, and just signed a 3-year deal for $12 million as an extension. So,
yeah.
All right. Anything else from yesterday? Should we talk about Maryland? We probably need to talk about Maryland.
I mean, just the fact that, but it's so Maryland. It's just so Maryland to do this and so Turge to do this. And, finally you get people feeling good about Maryland a little bit going into this past week. And then you lose to Northwestern and Penn State. And they're still a tournament team, I think, with what they've done. But ultimately, you have no faith in
They've made it so hard on themselves. So unnecessarily hard on themselves. Why? Yeah. How do you lose to Northwestern and Penn State in the same week?
Yeah.
How much were they up yesterday? It was like a 16-point lead, right?
They're up 16. They're up 9 with a few minutes left. I mean, they had this game completely in control. And then all of a sudden they forget about Seth Lundy. And, he makes a couple big shots. And next thing you know, Maryland loses on senior day and loses a game in which they should have won. And now, you got to beat Michigan State. You got to beat Michigan State to just get a little mojo back and feel good going to the NCAA tournament. Again, listen, I don't expect Maryland to do anything in the tournament. Could they provide an upset win in a 5-12 game? Yeah, they could do that, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
I'd agree. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Before we get into tonight's games, I just want you guys to think about one thing because I'm going to ask you at the end. I want your biggest storyline in conference tournament week. I want the guy that you think is going to be the breakout star of conference tournament week, and we're going to have one bold prediction. We're going to do that at the end of after we talk about tonight's games. As always, every line, every reference to gambling odds that you hear on the show is courtesy of our partners over at Bet Rivers. And if you use the code 250MATCH when you deposit $250 into Bet Rivers on their account, whether it's at betrivers.com or on the Bet Rivers iOS app, you will get that $250 deposit match. So let's get into the lines tonight. I believe we just have the two title games, right? It's the SoCon and the is it the Sun Belt? SoCon and Sun Belt?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Two good games.
So,
two good games.
Let's talk
Dustin Kearns.
Yeah, Dustin Kearns. Are they playing at Georgia State or is that game a neutral site?
Pensacola. It's in Pensacola.
Pensacola, huh?
Yeah, and a couple teams that you didn't expect to be there. I mean, Georgia State, Rob Lanier, done a great job there, getting that program back after a couple of years. Ron Hunter leaves. And App State, Dustin Kearns has gotten that. Two programs that have had success in the past. But again, and what people don't, Rob Lanier had a shot. He had a shot as a head coach at Siena years ago. This is kind of a second chance for him. And Georgia State's favored by 5.5. I think I like 7. The points.
It's 7 at Bet Rivers.
Up to 7 now. Wow.
Yeah, it's very much for the people listening to this. Goodman's brand is very much having the wrong lines and having his phone ding. And don't think we heard your phone ring before. We heard it. Don't think that you got that covered. We heard
it's Black Monday today. It is Black Monday. There's going to be firings. Just the fact that I'm spending this time with you, Rob Dauster. You should feel good about yourself.
Don't act like you're doing us a favor. Don't act like you're doing.
Listen,
it's 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, and I got to sit here and I got to listen to you talk and explain why you have your phone going off on the stream again. All right, so who do you guys like? You like if you like the points at 5.5? I'm assuming you like the points at 7, right?
Yeah, taking App State, baby. Little Dustin Kearns action.
The Fighting Dustin Kearns, a member of the Mike Young coaching tree.
Very true. Very, very true.
The only concern that I have about App State is they have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to end the regular season. They lost 6 of the last 7 games, but they are on the year 2-1 against Georgia State. Both of those wins did come at home. They also knocked off the number 1 seed in this tournament when they beat Texas State on Saturday, which was unfortunate. I really like that Texas State story.
Well, I mean, better get the job. That's all.
I think with App State tonight, and when you look at those games that they played and being 2-1 against Georgia State, I mean, they won those games by 9 points, by 13 points. Those are pretty convincing wins. Their loss obviously was by 14. But when you have that kind of a discrepancy, give me 7, give me 6.5 all day. I mean, I got the App State shirt actually here ready to go.
There you go. There you go. Oh, he's all in
here for some of my picks here tonight. As you guys know, I'm a junkie with the T-shirts and the apparel. But, I like App State here. Anytime you can get 7 points and you've won 2 games by almost double digits against the opponent, this is not a back-to-back scenario. They're obviously hot. They're getting hot at the right time. I don't know how they ended the regular season, but look, I'll take the points any day of the week, and I could get almost a touchdown on here. So that I like a lot.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, the other game tonight is UNC Greensboro is facing off with Mercer. That is in Asheville at the Harris Cherokee Center. I believe that's where they had the Maui Invitational this year, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, same place.
Goodman, how are you dealing with this one, man? You got your boy Greg Gary, and you got your boy Wes Miller. This is tough.
I know. It's a big game.
Wes Miller laying 4. This is a big game for you.
It is a big game. They're the favorite. They've been, Furman gets knocked out, and it was going to be Furman and UNC Greensboro. Mercer's got a couple really good transfers. Greg Gary's done an unbelievable job this year, but I think I'm going with Isaiah Miller and UNC Greensboro laying the wood here, laying 4.
Yeah, the 2 times they played this season, when they played at UNC Greensboro, Mercer lost by 13, and when they played at home, Mercer lost by 3. So they are 0-2 against the Spartans, right? Is that the Spartans? Another Spartans?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I'm with you there. I just look. You take the best coach, the best team, and the best player are all on the same side, and it's only 4 points. I think it's pretty easy.
Wow, look at you, best coach. You're killing poor Greg Gary.
I love Greg Gary, but I mean, I'm just a big, I'm a big Wes Miller guy.
I think what people have to realize also here is that when they're looking at the seeds for this league, and I was doing my homework last night a little bit, and they see Mercer as the 7. I mean, they were, I think, 17-10 or are 17-10. So they are better than a traditional 7 seed in this league. But again, I agree, Rob. Best player on the court. He showed it last night. I mean, if you guys got to watch the semifinal he played last night, Miller was great. 4 points isn't a lot. They already covered, that number at home. They almost covered the game on the road, neutral site. Greensboro, better team. And best player on the floor.
Yep. All right. So what else we got tonight?
WCC semis. St. Mary's Gonzaga. Normally a huge game. Normally a game where it's like, all right, can Gonzaga win this, or will St. Mary's pull the upset? St. Mary's done well against Gonzaga in the past, but 17.5 points. Who thought we'd be looking at a line of 17.5 points? With a Gonzaga.
You know what's even more incredible? That the line is actually 18 points at Bet Rivers.
It is. Well, it's obviously grown since I last looked. Regardless, that's a lot of points. So you like St. Mary's here? In theory, I do, right? No, because I think Mark Few. The one thing you got to remember with Mark Few is it's not like he empties his bench early. He's not known for that. He is known for putting in his starters and keeping his starters in there. It could be 25 points. And with 2 minutes left, I'm telling you, Corey Kispert is still going to be in the game. So, no, I don't like either, to be honest. I like the Pepperdine BYU game better.
I agree. I think that this has 21 to 22 point spread, late second half, and then a backdoor cover that bites us written all over it. I think he's going to want to run up the score here, put that game up 20-22, put it away. Those guys on Gonzaga, Kispert and Suggs and those guys are going to want to beat this team. But again, I have a bad feeling that with 2 minutes to go, we're up 20-21. Couple threes from St. Mary's, and we lose. They win by 16. So I would stay away from that. And I agree with Jeff. I like this BYU game a lot more for a betting standpoint.
I'm actually kind of interested in St. Mary's in this spot because, we saw it the first time that they played. The way that St. Mary's wants to play, where they just completely control tempo. They run their offense, 25, 30 seconds on the shot clock. They don't go after offensive rebounds, and they clean the defensive glass. That's what you need to be able to do to beat Gonzaga. That's how you have to do it. You have to keep them out of transition. You can't let them get second chance points, and you have to be able to run your offense and score. Now, the big question is going to be whether or not St. Mary's can actually run their offense and score. This is the worst offense that we've seen out of a Randy Bennett team in a long, long time, and it's probably because they have a walk-on running the point. Right?
Hey,
Instead of having, look, Tommy Kuzi's good, but when you have Tommy Kuzi at the point instead of someone like a Jordan Ford, instead of someone like a Matthew Dellavedova, instead of someone like a Patty Mills, normally they have an NBA player at the point. Now they have Tommy Kuzi. There's a big difference there. So,
are you saying Tommy Kuzi's not an NBA player?
I do not think Tommy Kuzi is an NBA
Writing that
player.
down. Writing that down right now.
You can. I'm sure that Tommy Kuzi would admit that he's probably not an NBA player as well.
All I know is a year ago at this time, I was pressuring Randy Bennett to give Tommy Kuzi a scholarship. Legitimately, like a year ago, right about now, I was in Moraga yelling at Randy Bennett to give Tommy Kuzi a scholarship, and Tommy Kuzi got a scholarship this year. So, good for Tommy.
So it's your fault that this is the worst St. Mary's team that we've seen in a decade.
No, it's not. It is not. All right, what else we got for tonight? Little Horizon semis.
Well, talk about Pepperdine and BYU. You guys said that you liked it, but who do you like and why?
I just like BYU here. I think that they have too many guys that could score from all positions on the court. They're just much more athletic to me watching this than Pepperdine. I don't know what the line is right now. I tried to get it last night, but it wasn't posted yet. Regardless, I just like BYU here. I think they're obviously a tournament team. I think they want to get in hot. I think that they want to get that game against Gonzaga badly. I think they think that they can play with them. I don't think that's the case. But whatever the number is, unless it's 30 or so, give me BYU, which it obviously won't be. But
it's 8.5 right now. It's 8.5.
I'll take it to like 11 or so. I think that BYU is just going to come in here, hit their shots, and they're just so motivated, I think, to get that rematch, another game with Gonzaga. So I like the Cougars here.
I do as well. I think it comes down to are you betting on Mark Pope or are you betting on Lorenzo Romar? I would probably make the argument that Pepperdine is more talented, and I don't really think it's necessarily all that close. Like, there's two guys that could play in the NBA on Pepperdine's roster, and Colby Ross and Kessler Edwards, but it hasn't exactly turned into the kind of season that I think people were expecting. Like, I was kind of expecting them to be someone that could make a run at being like a top 40 team this year, and they have not been that. So. I'll probably be on BYU here. Like, Mark Pope just knows how to game plan, man. Like, look at all the talent they lost last year, and they're still a top 20 team, right?
Yeah.
So I'm with you guys. I like BYU in this spot.
I'm a big Cleveland State guy tonight. Only giving 3.5 to Milwaukee. Like, is it 3.5, Rob? Take a look.
I saw 3.5.
Yeah,
3.5. Yeah, 3.5. I like that one. I think Dennis Gates is honestly playing for a lot here. And his team's playing for a lot. I mean, this is a game that, I think honestly, even if they get to the championship game of the Horizon, he's in line to get like a Penn State. Like, he's in the mix of Penn State. When DePaul opens, he could be in the mix for DePaul. He's from Chicago. So I think this is a big game for him to just get on TV, even if he doesn't win in the finals of the Horizon League, for people to kind of see him. And obviously he's got his acumen is playing at Cal, coaching for a while under Leonard at Florida State. So I like Cleveland State here, and they've had a hell of a year.
Yeah.
You want my favorite underdog pick of the night?
What do you got?
I'm riding the Elon Phoenix.
Oh.
They are. They're the team of destiny here. They have been crushed by COVID stuff all season long.
Like a month.
Crushed. Yeah. Crushed by COVID stuff. Uh-oh. We got the Hofstra hat on.
Had to bring
the Hofstra hat on. Here we go. Look at him.
I paid enough to get that freaking MBA degree in marketing from Hofstra. I'll put the hat on for this.
Nice.
No, I mean, look, want to know if you want definitive proof that Elon is the team of destiny in this year's March.
Yeah,
they're the 18th tournament. They beat James Madison yesterday by 1. Do you know what it took for them to beat James Madison by 1?
Yeah, we saw
a technical foul that Jamie Lucky called. This is what happened. The guy on James Madison goes up and scores, right? Gets hit in the arm, no fouls called, lays it in, scores, screams, and won, like every single player in the history of basketball has ever done. Jamie Lucky tees him up. Mark Byington is like, we're calling technicals on people for saying and one now. And Jamie Lucky said, yes, we are today. That was the first tee. The second one came with a minute 13 left in a 2-point game when Mark Byington got teed up for going outside of the coach's box.
Crazy.
Those 2 technical fouls are the reason that Elon won. That is definitive proof that they are the team of destiny. They're going to win this tournament. They're going to be an automatic bid. You might as well just get on the bandwagon now. And when they get there, you can say, Rob, you knew it. You were able to read the tea leaves and see that the Elon Phoenix are the team of destiny in this year's March. There you go. That's my sell. They've also won 7 in a row. So they're hot. They're hot.
All right. You got Elon. What else? Anything else? Anything else in today's slate?
Well, I think we got 2 interesting Summit League semifinals, actually, from a betting standpoint. South Dakota, they're both interesting. South Dakota State, for me, they played Oral Roberts twice, and the disparities were all over the place. They won by 15, lost by 17. But the interesting number here, and Rob, you may have the over-under number here for South Dakota State and Oral Roberts, but in one of the matchups, they put up 189. The other one was 175. So depending on what that number looks like, these 2 teams obviously don't play too much defense when they play each other.
They never play defense in the Summit League. The Summit League is awesome because all you do is get games in the 90s.
Oh, here I also
164.
So I'm actually on the Jackrabbits tonight.
Let's go Jacks.
So I'm on the Jackrabbits with the number, but I also like the over depending on what that is. I think that just makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so there you go. I mean,
all right. I'm with you on the over. I love it.
And then the other matchup too, North Dakota State, South Dakota. These teams actually played 3 times already this season. North Dakota State won by 7, won by 12, lost by 9, and I think they're giving 1.5 at least the last time I saw. They're the better team. 3.
It's up to 3.
I mean, I still like it. I think their 2 wins were by 7 and 12. Their loss was 9. Again, if I had to go one way or the other, I see 3 now. I guess I would go North Dakota State. But I guess we'll see where that number goes today. But I would definitely lean towards them, and I'd love to see another North Dakota State, South Dakota State championship game. So I guess that's 4 in the Summit.
North Dakota State is real good. Like I don't know if you guys remember seeing them play at Kansas earlier this year, but they're really, really good. They got some length. They got some athletes on that roster. I do kind of like them in the spot as well. I'm not as sold on South Dakota State, but I think the over is the play there. I love that logic. And look, in March, there's nothing better than betting overs in March. You know why? Because you don't have to root against anybody. The best thing about betting overs is every shot that goes in is a good shot. Like that's all you want. You want people to make shots. And it's too stressful this time of year to root for misses.
Yeah.
Totally.
So bet the over.
Life
is too short to bet the under.
All right. What do you want here? You break out. What are we doing before we leave?
Well, we'll start with the biggest storyline during conference championship week for you guys. You want me to go first?
Yeah, please.
My biggest storyline is the Blue Bloods becoming Cinderellas. We have 8 seed Michigan State has a chance to make a run. We have North Carolina as a 7 seed with a chance to make a run. We have the one thing that I want more than anything else this week, and which may be like the single best storyline if it happens, is Kentucky making a run and winning the SEC tournament title game. That's all I want in this in this world. It'll be so great. You know how John Calipari always has his rant ready to go about why they were screwed in the seeding process. I cannot wait for Kentucky to go win the SEC tournament title, right? Get seeded as like a 14, and for John Calipari to just rip the committee for seeding a 14 seed. That's all I want.
Look at our record. Look at our record. How can you put us as a 14 seed? Yeah,
we played the toughest schedule in the country. I can't believe I made this schedule, and you put us as a 14 seed.
We played Richmond and Notre Dame. Like, just in case you didn't realize, like they both didn't make the tournament. So stop saying how tough your schedule was.
Oh man, yeah, I can't. That's all I want. So that's my biggest storyline. Adam, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got 2 of them. I think one of them is, which of these bubble teams are going to step up. I think that, we obviously Syracuse, they're always on the bubble. So obviously I have to put my Syracuse hat on, at least for the rest of the conversation, and hope that they can win a couple games here and make things.
You got all the gear ready to go. I love that you just came prep with all the props.
As I told Jeff yesterday, I had my Belmont shirt ready. Throw that out.
Throw that out.
I'll save that for the NIT. But, which of these teams, Seton Hall, St. John's, Syracuse, can win a few games, get some momentum, and maybe solidify a berth. But honestly, I think you guys love this guy, is Cade. I want to see him, this is kind of like the appetizer for what we're going to see hopefully next week and for a couple weeks. The team is red hot. They're playing as well as anyone in the country. Let's see how he can do now, again, in a great conference and with games that he's going to have to, be the star. So I can't wait to see how he performs. I think getting the Big 12 tournament against these teams before the actual tournament is going to help him a lot, kind of get used to it, and then take off from there. So I can't wait to see Cade this week and see how much that momentum can carry them.
Goodman, what do you got?
I don't know what I have. I mean, again, I think you guys took the two main things. To me, I have written down, again, Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State, what could they do here? Obviously, the bubble teams is the big thing. I guess for me, it might be the Big Ten tournament still, looking at it from several different ways. Obviously, Michigan and Illinois pretty much have a 1 seed locked up. How is Ohio State going to get their mojo back in this? Is Joe Wieskamp going to play, and how healthy is he going to be? Michigan State, we talked about. Indiana and Minnesota have coaches that are clearly fighting for their jobs, and I think Richard Pitino is pretty much done. But I think watching Indiana in this one is going to be very interesting, because if they lay an egg, could Archie Miller and $10 million buy what he's owed, could Scott Dolson make a move there? Is he looking at this Big Ten tournament as kind of, all right, do I keep Archie for another year, or do I make a move on him? Again, I think Richard Pitino's already gone, but I think there's a lot in the Big Ten. The best games are going to come in the Big Ten and the Big 12, because those have been the best leagues all year. But the most intriguing storylines are going to come, to me, from like the ACC, the SEC. I think Memphis still could be interesting. The AAC, like, is Houston a lock to win the AAC? Probably not. Like, can somebody steal a bid there?
Are they a lock to play in the AAC tournament?
Yes. From what I'm told,
it's definitely happening. All right. For people that weren't aware, that there was some scuttle for a while that they might not play in the tournament because they're worried about the no mask mandate that is going on in that state right now. And the last thing that you want is to have a bunch of players in that state and someone test positive and have it blow up your March. All right, so let's go with the breakout star during this week. Goodman, I'm going to put you on the spot with this one first, since you very clearly did not give this any thought whatsoever on my homework assignment that I signed 5 minutes before.
You didn't give me any.
Hey, what do you want from me, man? I come up with ideas. I got to let them flow,
Trying to break the Eastern Michigan firing. I mean, come on. We got things going on here. The breakout star, I don't freaking know. Who's the breakout star? I don't know.
So you want to know who? I'll go first on that one.
Sure.
What you guys think about it? I'm going to go with Moses Moody. We talked about it the other day, but he's a guy on a top 15 team, on a team that finished second in the SEC, that is going to be a lottery pick, that is averaging 17 points a game. Feels like no one's really talking about him.
Yeah.
He had 28 in his last 2 games. I definitely think he's the kind of guy that could go out and average like 23 per game, and Arkansas can go out and win the SEC tournament, and everyone's going to be like, oh, okay, now I see why Moses Moody's getting all this hype. So I'm going with him. The other guy that I would go with is probably James Bouknight, but that feels very much like a
not really a breakout. So. Yeah, I mean,
he's like, he already broke.
Yeah, he broke.
He's broken.
Adam,
I got 2, actually. I think one of the guys in the chat kind of stole my thunder with Moses Wright. I mean, I just watched that guy kind of dominate the last couple of games, and that guy could certainly put up some numbers. I think they're a team that, again, when the Bulls brackets come out, that team's scary to me. Like, they just they're not like the smoothest team to watch at all, as we know. Right. But at the same time, they're going to muck it up, and I think they could play, and that guy's been great. And I think, Rob, one of the things you hit on, I think over the weekend when you were talking about it, but these guys from Purdue, pick any one of those guys. I think they're one of these teams that, and I was going to talk about this too, when they get into the tournament, they literally have nothing to lose. These guys are all theoretically going to come back next year. They have nothing to lose. Sometimes when you just throw these young kids into a tournament, let them loose, see what could happen. They're going to be theoretically playing the NCAA tournament in their backyard, so that should help them a little bit too. But any of these guys on Purdue, I think they're a sleeper team to win the tournament, the Big Ten tournament. So any of those guys could step up. They've been playing hell of a great ball over the last couple of weeks. They got a great coach. So I would take those guys, and Moses Wright. I think I'm excited to watch those guys play. And again, some of the guys in the Pac-10, who's going to step up in the Pac-10, you know? So that'll be interesting to watch too.
I'm going with Champagne and Hauser. Champagne and Hauser, because I get 4 of them total. So that's why I'm picking them. I'm just increasing my odds. That's all I'm doing. I'm just playing the game of increasing my odds. So I got 2 Champagnes and I got 2 Hausers, and that means I got more guys than you. I got more chances.
All right, last thing, bold prediction for this week. Adam, why don't you lead this one off?
Oklahoma State wins the Big 12 tournament. Again, I think Baylor is one of these teams that could get picked off just because of the fact that they've done so much. They're coming back. Do they want to kind of give it their all with the tournament? They're just coming back from a pause. I don't trust Kansas. And then you look around the league, who's playing better than Oklahoma State right now? So I'll take that as one. And then I think Purdue winning the Big Ten. I'll double up and I'll say both of those guys. I think those are 2 teams playing well right now. By the way, Boynton's done an excellent job at Oklahoma State, and they were kind of talking about it, I think on the telecast the other day, but what that guy's done to kind of get this team to buy in around Kate, because obviously sometimes it's hard when you have a star, and he obviously is a big reason why, where he's such a member of this team, and he's so close with that team, but the fact that he's kind of brought this all together, and they're peaking right now, so I'll go with Oklahoma State and Purdue to win their conference tournaments.
I'm going to go bid Steelers in the Big East and the Pac-12. Bid Steelers in both. Again, Big East right now looks like a mess. It really does. And I know we're all over UConn and they're playing well, but I could see somebody, a Seton Hall, a St. John's, a Providence, making a run and winning that thing. And the Pac-12 stinks. I mean, it's been bad. It's been mediocre all year. I'm hoping my Arizona State Sun Devils make a run. They finally get it together, Rob Dauster. They finally do it. The team I picked 15th.
Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I got something for you. Hold on.
Get the Arizona State T-shirt. All right. So, Jeff, I love your call on St. John's. My bold prediction was going to be St. John's winning the Big East tournament. They're playing in Madison Square Garden, which is a home arena. They get Seton Hall in the first round. There you go, Sun Devils, baby. They get Arizona State. They get Seton Hall in the first round. They just erased an 18-point deficit and beat Seton Hall by 10 last game of the regular season. Their semifinal matchup then would be against the Villanova team that doesn't have Colin Gillespie and that might not have Justin Moore. And with the way that St. John's wants to press, how about this? I think Villanova might have to start Chris Archidiakono at the point. He played 25 minutes against Providence the other day. This is his second year in the program. Can you guess how many total minutes he played in in every game across his entire career before Saturday?
25 minutes.
He played 35 minutes his entire career, and he played 25 minutes on Saturday. He might have to start at the point in the semifinals of the Big East tournament in Madison Square Garden against the St. John's team with Posh Alexander, who's going to be harassing him. And you get to the final of the Big East, it's got to win one game. So my bold prediction is St. John's winning the Big East tournament.
What do you guys think about, obviously you guys talked about it yesterday morning with Zagorowski coming out and defending McDermott and obviously standing behind him. But to me, what they showed, blasting Butler on, Saturday, and then coming in here, it's them and UConn to me in terms of the 2 favorites, obviously. St. John's I certainly think can win it. What do you think about Creighton, not only this week, but even going forward? I think him coming out, and he's, again, most likely in most of the games they're going to play, Zagorowski's the best player on the floor. I think that this is a team that if they can get hot now too, they could obviously make a run because of him, his leadership, and then maybe all buying into this.
The problem is I think that they're still he came out and said something, but I don't think that locker room is completely unified. And if Greg McDermott is back this weekend, I think that there is what's the best way to I think that can create some awkward situations if he comes back. Sure. I think that's the best way to phrase it.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but I like the theory, I think there's a reason why Zagorowski came out and said what he said.
Yeah.
Because
they look good on that game, but Butler's bad right now.
That's true.
They're bad. I mean, the 3 of us, I think, could get a couple dudes out there, and we might be able to hang with Butler right now.
Well, maybe me and Adam, but Jeff, I've seen you play, man. You would tear your meniscus in the first 2 minutes of that game.
I feel good right now. I
trying
feel
to go
good.
up and tell everyone.
I haven't cared.
Adam, do you know he spent this entire season telling everyone that he can still go up and touch the rim?
I mean, I could touch my kids. That's about it. So
I could. I gotta get back in shape. I'm gonna work on it now that the weather weather's breaking.
We'll see.
50 degrees here. I'm gonna start going for runs.
do lots of walks outside of Indianapolis. That'll be nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna be running.
Hey, we got a Peloton, so I could try to lose my COVID-19.
All
All right, guys. Adam, thanks for jumping on the stream.
Adam, thanks, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.